Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Halifax County Library in Halifax, North Carolina. My name is Ginger Phipps, and today I'm going to tell you a little bit about a book that I've had a wonderful time reading. The name of the book is Fancy Nancy Tea Parties. And today I'm going to read to you a little bit in this book because we've set up 2 little tea parties that are mentioned in this book. So I'm going to read a little bit about the tea parties that we decided to do. The book is written by Jane O'Connor. It is illustrated by Robin Priest Glasser. Fancy Nancy has a little beginning. She says, "Bonjour, everyone. What I love most about tea parties is that you can have one anytime. You don't need to wait for your birthday or Christmas or some other formal occasion. That's a fancy way of saying an important day. Whenever you feel like celebrating, that's the perfect time for a tea party. I often feel like celebrating. I have been the hostess of so many tea parties that I am practically an expert about what to wear, which refreshments to serve, and how to make everything look très élégant. There are just 3 important things to remember. Be fancy, have fun, and don't forget to invite me. Divinely yours, Nancy." The first tea party that I'm going to read about is a classic tea party. And in classic tea parties are where guests sit at a pretty table. Miss Divine and I pretend to be famous and call each other darling. At tea parties, it's fun to speak French as much as possible. I keep cards with French words in a fancy box. The first word she's got is excusez-moi. Excusez-moi. And that means excuse me. And then the next one is s'il vous plaît, which means please, s'il vous plaît. This one says merci, and that means thank you. And then magnifique, which means magnificent. And de re on, which means you're welcome. And here Miss Divine says, "You look magnifique." And then Fancy Nancy says, "Merci, darling." Thank you. These are some ideas for your classic tea party. When I'm planning a tea party, my best friend Bree often assists me. That's fancy for helps out. Sometimes I borrow Bree's fancy china set, but often we just use plain paper plates. You can put doilies on paper plates and voila, they're fancy. Using cloth napkins is very fancy, and so is dabbing your lips with them. The napkins don't all need to be the same. Mix and match them. It will look so stylish, which means fancy in a very interesting way. Bibs are not fancy, but sometimes they're necessary for younger guests. And this little girl, this is Nancy's baby sister, JoJo. But here you can see the doily on the plate, and here you can see an idea for making fancy placemats. They're kind of in the shape of a butterfly. And then if you want to make your napkins look fancy, You can fold them kind of like you're making a fan, and then you can stick them down in the teacup, and that makes them stand up and look really fancy. That's a really easy thing to do. I use plastic flatware at all my parties. Flatware is a fancy word for spoons and forks and knives. Sometimes I put 1 or 2 jewel stickers on the handles, or I take a permanent marker and monogram them. That means I write my initials, which are NC for Nancy Clancy. Place cards are tiny signs that tell your guest where to sit. Sometimes I take lollipops and tape a name on each. Then I stick each lollipop in a marshmallow. And here you can see she did this with Bree. This is just a little place to let Bree know where she sits at the party. And there's her pretty placemat that she made. And she's got her little jeweled forks and knives and spoon. And she's also written the initials, little monogram, and there's her folded napkin. Beverages. That's a fancy word for drinks. Do you need to serve tea at a tea party? No, but this recipe for iced tea is delicious. That's fancy for yummy. You need to make it the day before with some help from a grown-up. So ask nicely, s'il vous plaît. Sunshine tea a la Nancy. To make sunshine tea, you place 4 to 6 tea bags in a pitcher and fill it with 2 quarts of water. You cover the pitcher so that nothing can get inside. Place the pitcher outside in sunlight and leave it there for 3 to 5 hours. As the sun moves, make sure to move your pitcher too. Then put the pitcher in the refrigerator. Before you serve the iced tea, add sugar. A little orange juice in it is very tasty too. And then you can also make, let me take this out, excuse me, extra fancy fuchsia lemonade. You can make a can of pink lemonade. You add cranberry juice to make it hot pink. You can also put in some raspberries or blueberries if you have them. So you can doll it up, make it a little more fancy with fresh fruit. Refreshments. That's a fancy word for snacks. You can never go wrong serving tea sandwiches at a tea party. Do they actually have tea in them? None. Remember to eat them with pinkies up. And these are Nancy's nibblers. She says, I like to give all my recipes fancy names. Spread cream cheese on slices of date bread. Or you can use cinnamon raisin bread, which is what we've used for our tea party today. Then you put raisins or banana slices on top. You cut each slice into 4 triangles. You don't need a top slice. Keeping them open-faced looks fancier. And then these are raspberry swirls. You cut the crust off of a slice of white bread and place it between 2 pieces of wax paper. Then you can flatten it out with a rolling pin. You spread raspberry jam or any flavor you like on the bread and roll it into a log. Then you cut the log into slices. Don't they look pretty? It's a jelly roll. And down here it says a hostess never wants her guests to be sick, so make sure nobody is allergic to the refreshments you serve. And then these are some games you play. Recreation, that's fancy for games. At tea parties, my guests sometimes like to play games. Here's a fun one. This one's called Packing for Paris. This is a memory game. The first guest says, I'm packing for Paris, and I'm taking a boa. A boa is like a feathery, fancy kind of scarf. The next guest repeats that and adds another accessory. I'm packing for Paris, and I'm taking a boa and a tiara, which is like a crown. The next guest adds a third accessory to the list. Keep going around the table. You must remember everything in order. If you goof, you're out. I touch a little bit on a buffet tea party. And a buffet tea party, that's fancy for when the guests go and serve themselves. All the food is laid out, and they go around and pick what they want. If you invite lots of friends and don't have enough chairs, a buffet tea party is the perfect answer. A fancier word is solution. After guests take their food, they sit wherever they want to. I also encourage guests to mix and mingle. And then these are centerpieces. And for a buffet, everything is set out on a big table. I always have a beautiful centerpiece to decorate it. This is a lollipop bouquet. A bouquet is a French word that means a bunch of flowers. Fill a flower pot with jelly beans. You stick the lollipops, all different flavors and sizes, into the bucket. And if you want, you can tape paper petals to the lollipops, and that'll make them look like flowers. Then another thing you can do are blossoms. This is a blossoms extravaganza. Often, Mrs. Devine lets me pick wildflowers from her garden. Then I put them in a teapot. Gorgeous. These are some ways you can set your table. You can wrap the flatware in napkins for your guests. It makes it a little more convenient. That's fancy for easy and helpful. She says sometimes I write each guest's name on a ribbon. Then I tie the ribbon around the spoon with the flatware inside. And down here she's showing you, if you have more time, Bree helps me make paper flowers with pipe cleaner stems. We wrap around the napkins. Bree is much better at this than I am. And this tells you how to make a paper flower. So you take a few pieces of tissue paper like squares, you fold them in a fan, and then you take your pipe cleaner and you wrap it around the center of your folded paper, and then you're going to gently pull each layer until you make it look like a flower. So you can use that as a centerpiece in your teapot, or right here, it looks like Bree is wearing one like a corsage on her wrist. And then these refreshments are called crudités. At buffets, it's best to serve food that won't fall off your plate if it's in your lap. And crudités are raw vegetables. Doesn't it sound much fancier in French? Ask a grown-up to help you cut carrot sticks and little broccoli trees. Snow pea pods are also good. Arrange them on a platter. Here are some other foods you can serve. Mademoiselle Clancy's honey dip, which is mixing a tablespoon of honey into a cup of plain yogurt. And then you sprinkle a little bit of brown sugar on top. And it says this is very tasty. Another thing she makes are delectable fruit kebabs. Delectable means yummy. That's a fancy word for yummy. You put strawberry and banana slices, grape and blueberries on frilly toothpicks. Don't you think frilly toothpicks make everything taste better? And then you can dip the kebabs into the honey dip. And right here, this is jus de pomme. This is apple juice. You can do that. And another tea party that we did, excuse me, I've got to get to my page, is, this is tea for two. The co-presidents of the Explorers Extraordinaire Club, Bree and me, often hold tea parties in our clubhouse because the club is all about exploring in the wild. Sometimes we give our parties a nature theme. And you may have seen these. These are ants on a log. And what you do, you have a grown-up help you. You cut little celery sticks, and then you put cream cheese inside, and you can put little raisins to be the ants. So there's our ants on the wall. These are ladybug cookies, and you can just take cookies from the store, or you can make cookies with the help of your mom or dad. They put red colored icing on it, and then they put little chocolate chips to make it look like the little spots for a ladybug. And this is the other one that we did, which is a doll tea party. Can you guess who likes tea parties even more than I do? My doll, Maribel. Her full name is Maribel Lavinia Chandelier. Her best friend is Serinda, who is a lovely person, although not fancy at all. Her other best friend is a pink puppy named Sequin. Poor Frenchie. She would love to come to these tea parties, but often the refreshments, especially anything with chocolate, would make her sick. So it sounds like Frenchie is a dog, so you don't give dogs chocolate. But for your tea party, for your dolls, you can use a shoe box as a table. You put a cloth napkin or a doily or a hanky, and that will make like the tablecloth. And then she's got here, shells make beautiful bowls. I put Cheerios in them, and I save old toothpaste caps for dolls' cups. And then for the placemats, you can use little cotton pads, the kind for taking off nail polish. They work very nicely, especially when you add a few jewel stickers. And then down here, she's made a little doll cake. You smear frosting on cookies, and voila, it's a doll-sized cake. If Maribel and her guests aren't hungry, then I eat it. And the conclusion, that's fancy for the end, every hostess has special treats that she serves at her tea parties. Since it is important to remember exactly how to make them, I keep a recipe card for each one. Here are some recipe cards for you that are just like the ones I use. If you like, keep them in an index card box decorated with jewel stickers. On top of the box, write your monogram in glitter. And then she says, party on. And in the back of the book, we have these nice little recipe cards. We have torn these out, and we've made copies of them. And if you are interested and would like some of our little cards, you can stop by at the library and pick them up. Now, I'm going to let Miss Brown show you all the things that we have laid out for our tea party. So she'll hand the camera over to me, and I'll film her. Thank you, Miss Brown.
You are welcome. You get my gloves on.
Oh, all right.
Well, we've got so many wonderful ideas from Fancy Nancy's Tea Party book that we decided to go ahead and make some of them for our tea party today. If you can see the table here, Miss Ginger and I put a lot of different things on the table. First thing we did, we made these cool little placemats like Nancy describes in the book. They're called papillons because papillon is the word for butterfly in French, you see. And we decorated them. And let's see what else we have. Oh yes, we have the fuchsia lemonade, which looks really yummy. Can't wait to try some of that with some blueberries, and I put some blackberries in there. And we have crudité, the crunchy, munchy crudité. And of course these little paper umbrella things make everything look so much more festive, I think. We also did a lollipop tree, or a lollipop pot, with some jelly beans and a bunch of lollipops. We made some fresh fruit kebabs and did the honey yogurt dip. Can't wait to try some of that. Oh, and I forgot the little sandwiches that we did, the open-faced sandwiches. It's cinnamon bread, cinnamon raisin with cream cheese and bananas. So you can do lots of really, really wonderful things. And of course, you don't want to forget the cupcakes. That is the important thing here. We all love cupcakes. These are chocolate with strawberry buttercream icing, and you can put sprinkles on it if you want to. So we've done lots of fun things. This is a flower bouquet we made, and the thing about that, you can take some of the flowers and use them for corsage. That's the French word for a little flower that you can wear on your arm, or corsage. We had so much fun doing this today, and we hope you have enjoyed it, and you will come by the library for lots of fancy Nancy books and lots of other fun ideas that you can get in that book as well. And we hope y'all will have a wonderful tea party. So talk to you soon, and we're so thankful that you joined us today. Have a good day. Bye-bye.